This one was interesting. Saw it a few hours ago. Brett Favre was apparently on ESPN's First Take, and he said that his former backup, Doug Pederson, they were together in Green Bay. Pederson and the Eagles should have kept Nick Foles and not Carson Wentz. And remember, they had a point where I thought it was a very tough decision. I don't know how much thought they put into it after the 2018 season, but I thought that by getting to the Final Eight, almost beating the Saints, should have been enough to get them to at least sit down and have a careful and serious conversation about keeping Nick Foles instead of Carson Wentz. And we know the how it turned out. Foles left. Wentz got a huge contract. Now he's the guy. Favre says they kept the wrong guy. Here's Doug Pederson reacting to what Brett Favre had to say.
I respect Brett's opinion. I mean, yeah, we are friends, but I haven't talked to him, and he's entitled to that, and that's about it.
When the decision had to be made in the organization, even though personnel decisions like that are usually tough, it probably wasn't that difficult for you guys. Was anyone beating down the door to do a different thing?
In regards to Nick?
In terms of keeping Nick over Carson?
No, Carson's our guy. Carson's our draft pick. Carson's the guy that is going to carry us and lead this football team. And listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Those aren't my words. Those aren't Howie's words, Jeffrey's words. Those are his words. I mean, I respect that opinion. Whatever he wants to say, that's fine. And we're going to remain friends. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. All I know is that Carson Wentz is our guy.
Well, everybody knows Carson Wentz is their guy. They traded up to the second overall position in the 2016 draft to get him, and then they decided to keep him instead of Nick Foles. So they doubled down on Carson Wentz after the 2018 season. Second straight year that Wentz had a season-ending injury. Second straight year that Foles stepped in and did well in the postseason after being Super Bowl MVP, almost getting back to the NFC Championship game. And then they tripled down when they paid him a contract worth $33 million or so in new money per year. He's their guy necessarily. He's their guy through 2021 based upon the contract, the first year that they can reasonably get out of it, because the 2021 salary is already fully guaranteed. Unless they're going to find someone to trade for him, and now would not be the time to sell high if you're trying to move the Carson Wentz contract based on how he's played this year. He's your guy. You've made the choice. You've made the bed. You got to sleep in it for another season and a half, Shireen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what else do you expect him to say at this point? They've made their choice. They have to back him up. And that was my first observation. He's going to say, oh, yeah, we made the wrong decision. But on the other hand, Mike, let's not pretend that Nick Foles has gone over to Chicago and absolutely lit it up, because he hasn't. He's barely ahead of Carson Wentz in passer rating. He has an 83.8 passer rating. He has 10 touchdowns. He has 7 interceptions. This is a guy who's never started more than 11 games in a season. He's not a starting quarterback for game after game after game, year after year after year. He's proved that. That's why he's been to so many different teams. That's why he's not stuck with one team and been the starter. So it was an easy decision for the Eagles to make when they had spent so much on Carson Wentz in draft equity to keep him over Nick Foles. Nick Foles is a career backup, and yes, he's one of the top 2 career best backups in NFL history, no question about that. But it's not like that he's a great starter, that he's Brett Favre, for instance, who you let go. They didn't make that decision. And who knows? Nick Foles may be back at Philadelphia at some point as the backup to Carson Wentz, and he takes over the job when Carson fails. So, they had to make that decision.
You and I rarely disagree. I disagree with you on this one, because there's an alternate universe out there where the Eagles kept Nick Foles, moved on from Carson Wentz, provided blocking for Nick Foles, which he does not have in Chicago. He's got to get rid of the ball far sooner than he wants to. He's getting thrown around behind a crappy offensive line. He doesn't have the weapons there, although they don't really have a great assortment of weapons in Philly. The weapons in Philly right now, I'd say, are better than the weapons in Chicago, especially with Tariq Cohen gone for the year for the past 5 or 6 weeks. I just think that the way that Foles played in that offense with Doug Pederson, it worked. It clicked. And dollar for dollar, you could have kept Foles for less, a lot less, dollar for dollar, than you could have kept Carson Wentz. And the time to move Carson Wentz would have been after the 2018 season, because the value has gone down with the contract, with the performance this year. And I don't know what's happened. You've got to just roll this one up into a ball and throw it into the trash can and try it again next year. And look, if they don't get to the playoffs this year, right now they're in first place in the NFC East, but obviously they're not very good. But if they don't make it to the playoffs this year, next year, Wentz is on notice and Doug Pederson's on notice, because in all the years that Jeffrey Lurie has owned the team, anytime you fail to get to the playoffs in consecutive years as a head coach, you're gone. Now, the Super Bowl may help Pederson, but Andy Reid, 2 straight years, no playoffs, first time that ever happened, gone. Chip Kelly, 2 straight years, no playoffs, gone. So I think next year is going to be a huge year for Carson Wentz, and it could be a huge year for Doug Pederson and maybe for GM Howie Roseman.
I do think, Mike, they have a quarterback problem in Philadelphia, no question. And he is going to get one more year, and Carson Wentz is going to be put on notice, and we'll see what he can do. But he'll also have the chance probably in the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs this year, it's a huge fail, because I think they are the best team probably in the NFC East. I don't think they're going to win many games, but I don't think it takes many games to win the NFC East. And he can go and see if he can win his first playoff game. He'll probably get that chance. But he's got to do something over the course of the playoffs this season into next season. He's got to be better. Whatever's happened to him, he's got to figure it out, whether it's bad weapons, offensive line in disarray with all the injuries, whatever it is. The Eagles have to figure that out, or they will have a new quarterback come 2022, and maybe his name is Nick Foles.
I think Wentz is overly conscious and aware of all the times they've gone to bat for him, trading up to draft him, keeping him instead of Foles, paying him, and he's in a funk, and he just has the demeanor of a guy who thinks he can fix everything in one fell swoop. And it doesn't work that way. You got to calm down, you got to settle down, you got to go about your business. You're not going to fix it all with one throw, with one play, with one game. It's a process. And look, the Eagles last year, they were 5-7, and they ended up finishing strong and winning the division, and they very well may, and that may go a long way toward addressing these concerns.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.